So good morning, welcome to today's news. Today is Friday, and as usual, today has some issue that I have to share with you. Is that the first issue is that the Florida plane accident landing picture failed on aircraft. So this issue is that and Boeing 737 fell to land on America, Florida state, and then the problem is after landing they rush into the river. So now we will watch the video to understand the situation.
Terrifying crash and splash landing for certain. According to one passenger, the plane came down so hard upon landing that it actually bounced the plane back up into the air, slammed back onto the runway, shot off the runway, through the perimeter fence, and ultimately 100 feet out into the St. Johns River. Keep in mind, it was very stormy around that time of night. A lot of rain had come down and lightning was in the air, and it was total darkness as well. In all, 143 people on board made it back to land after being rescued. A little bit wet, but most importantly, alive. That's 7 crew members and 136 passengers with a very, very scary story to tell. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and Fire and Rescue immediately responded, and Marine units with boats helped with the rescue. According to passengers, once the plane came to a stop in the shallow part of the river, everybody exited the plane and stood on a wing to wait for the rescue boats, just like they did, you may remember, a few years back on that Miracle on the Hudson in New York. The 737 charter plane, operated by Miami Air International, flies twice weekly between Guantanamo Naval Air Station in Cuba to Norfolk, Virginia, with this stop in Jacksonville. The passengers on the plane were a mix of military, civilians, and dependents, all heading back to the States for some vacation and others to go home. An NTSB GO team has been here all day.
The pavement is not grooved. What that means is a grooved pavement allows water to flow off the runway faster in the event of heavy rain. We don't know if that is a factor yet.
It is very, very early in this investigation. Keep that in mind. The plane ended up in the shallow water where it still remains. Part of its nose broke off during the crash. No word on when they're going to float or tow that plane back onto land. A lot of jet fuel has leaked, and containment booms are surrounding the boat right now. Investigators have recovered the flight data recorder in excellent condition, and it's in fact already off to the lab. The cockpit voice recorder, however, is in the tail of the plane, and it remains underwater and unrecovered. And there were an unknown number of pets that were on board that plane, not in the seating area with all of the passengers, but down below in the belly of the plane in the cargo hold. These were cats and dogs from some of the passengers traveling with them. That part of the plane remains submerged, and not a good outcome for all the pets, sadly to say.
Yeah,
Rick?
no doubt. Phil Keating in Jacksonville. Phil, thanks very much.
So from the video we have seen just now, for the information, there have 136 passengers in that flight, and then 7 flight crew in that flight also, and there are including military personnel and also civilian. But from the official has said that 21 people were taken to hospital with minor injuries, and there is one passenger on the plane which called as Cherry Bowman and described that this is a terrible 35 moment. It slid off the runway, and she told CNN that the plane literally hit the ground and bounced it, and then it was clear the pilot did not have total control of the plane. Then it bounced again, so it bounced twice. So, and she also mentioned that They were in the water, but they cannot tell where they are because they are confusing which that is a river or in the ocean. And then she could smell the jet fuel leaking into the river. At last, Boeing released a statement sharing its well wishes with the those on board. So many news from Boeing flight. How can Boeing regain trust from the people again? So this is all about the news. Let's go to the next news for today. So the next news is about the son of the Middle East, richest royal, which is from Saudi Arabian prince, called as Khalid bin Walid. He has said that being vegan has increased my mental clarity, sleep quality, and stamina. So he is not only start to become a vegetarian, he is also focused on animal problem and also the environmental issues. So he can call as the middle class warrant. The people which is rich like this and born in this kind of family can start to become a vegetarian. So let's see how and why he want to become a vegetarian.
Having high blood pressure and high cholesterol and being pushed by doctors to take this pill and that pill for the rest of my life, and then going plant-based and losing 25-30 kilograms and changing my life to the better. It really opened my eyes to see that this is really the future of how I want to live my life. You know, the evidence is clear. The future is definitely plant-based. You have about a 90 to 96% decrease in water consumption. You eliminate completely the need to buy medicine and antibiotics, of which, by the way, 80% of antibiotics are used just for farm animals. It's ridiculous. I've got more clarity. Honestly, for me, I invest with a purpose. And I do think it has to do with my lifestyle. And your vibe attracts your tribe. So I was very lucky to grow up with a father like mine. Very affluent, and obviously a philanthropist, and clearly blessed with being one of the most successful businessmen in the world. So that really helped shape who I am in terms of working and striving to be the best at my passion, at my field, and thankfully my passion and my field is not in finance or in investment banking, but it's in making the world better. In August 2017, I gave my dad How Not to Die. Thank you, Dr. Greger. After highlighting it and after reading it and reading it again and again and again, in December or January, actually February, he asked that Dr. Greger would come over to Saudi and meet my dad and have a one-on-one so he can ask questions and all that stuff. That happened, and I'm so proud and so happy to say that he's on a plant-based diet, and that changed his life, alhamdulillah. My mom, thankfully, she didn't need much convincing. She just saw the difference in my life, the energy that I have, as cliche as it sounds, the sparkle in my eye when it comes to investing in these companies and meeting people like Ethan Brown, meeting people like Dr. Uma, meeting people like Milo Runkel. It really shows in my spirit how much effect these guys had in my life. Being exposed to these amazing opportunities when it comes to companies like Geltor, Memphis Meats, Beyond Meat, Just. I get the opportunity to speak to my dad and explain to him what these companies do and why people like Bill Gates and Sir Richard Branson and other affluent investors have invested in. So it really helps me have a platform and have a reason to speak to my dad about investments. I'm not really interested in banking. I'm not really interested in investing in these types of opportunities. I'm really interested in things that will make an impact. My hope is that I can shift people's greed and have them be greedy in different ways. And that's the reality of it. I do not believe that people are inherently greedy. I don't believe they're inherently bad. But I do believe that the way people are growing up and the way kids are growing up and the way mothers, fathers, and generations of people and how they're growing up, they're affecting people's decisions on what is right and what is wrong. And I do not believe that animals suffering is part of that agenda. So I would like to shift people's greed from looking at animals as a cashier for them, or a commodity to them, and shifting that to science and saying you can remain with your greediness. You can be as greedy as you bloody want. You don't have to be the biggest factory farming company in the world to be rich. You can do that with other alternatives. Clean meat, licensing that technology. Hopefully companies like Memphis and Just and other companies license this technology to these companies so that they continue to provide people meat and continue to provide people what they want without involving animal suffering or involving our harm with harming the environment and harming other species and whatnot. When you have companies like Pinnacle, when you have companies like Tyson investing in companies like Memphis Meats and Beyond Meat, when you have people like Bill Gates or Richard Branson, Sir Richard Branson investing in these companies, there's a clear future there. And the future isn't simply because it's good for the environment. The future is it's good for people's health, it's better for people's health, and it's 100 times better for animals welfare, because what we're doing is unspeakable, it's despicable, and it's ignorant, and it's arrogant. And I see a clear change. A change is going to happen very soon. I can see it. Again, you don't have to be a visionary. You don't have to see the future, to pretend to see. You don't have to have a crystal ball to see this. It's a clear trend that's happening now, and I'm telling you, in the next, let's say, 5 to 7 years, the impact on the meat industry is going to be strong.
So from the video, we can see that the reason that the prince become a vegetarian or a vegan is because of from one time of hunting. He see the pain of the animal, so he think that this is a mean attitude. So he start turning to become a vegan or a vegetarian. So he have also discussed the journey to veganism, his favorite plant-based meals, sustainability, and the provision of women's rights in the nation. He pushed the dependency of petroleum from his country to environmental protection and energy saving. So he is wisely using the solar energy for his country. He has said that going vegan was the best thing that he did. He not only doing himself, he is also affecting his family, friends, and then his father probably Intel also start become a vegetarian, as like his son do. So the prince also said to his children that why that he didn't eat meat, because he said that we don't eat our friend. Luckily, his children also understand explanation of his father. So I think this is the issue for the second. So let's move to the third issue for today. So the third issue, that is the Momo challenge. I believe everyone know that. There is a case that there is one 11 years old children from Philippines have suddenly having a suicide at school by medicine, and after he had sent to hospital by school, he kept saying that I will listen to my master and I will kill them. So this issue is very serious actually. The Momo has instigated the child to suicide, and the Momo image is a mythical monster, and we can say that Momo is a kind of curse game according to the information. When you calling a special number in the early morning, which is 3 a.m, then you can summon the Momo, and then Momo will start instigate children to suicide. This case actually caused a lot of death among children. There is another case. There is one mother from England have said that her 7 years old son threatened his classmate at school, and then has said that Momo will kill when you are sleeping. The son also admit that it is Momo from the video, wants him to do so, or else Momo will kill him. So let's watch a video to understand about this case, the Momo challenge.
So Music Studio.
As you've probably already heard, Momo is a terrifying suicide challenge game that has been linked to the death of a 12-year-old girl. Images of the scary-looking monster are spliced into seemingly innocent videos such as Peppa Pig, sparking concern amongst parents worldwide.
Ooh, a wasp!
The Sun has managed to track down Momo's creator to get to the bottom of the suicide challenge. Our search took us to Tokyo to meet an artist named Kasuki Aiso, a horror effects artist and author of the book Grotesque Girls.
About the mother bird. I made it about 3 years ago to have it exhibited at a gallery. I had to destroy the piece because it was getting rotten, so I disassembled it and got rid of it.
The only part of Momo that remains is an eyeball.
I got rid of Momo, so it is no longer here with me. I believe it no longer exists in this world.
So there you have it, from the maker of Momo himself. Momo is gone, and it was only a silly model to begin with.
So from the video we can truly understand the situation. After the YouTube have officially investigated, they didn't found a similar video in YouTube. So I believe this case is caused a panic to all of them. So all of parents still have to be careful for your children who will using YouTube or some channel to watch video. So be alert to your children. Take care of them to avoid this. I think that's all of the issue for today. Thank you for watching Today News.